Welcome to Richland Community Library's Beginning Watercolor with Miss Carrie. Today we are going to make watercolor bugs, and we're going to let our brush do most of the work. So here we go. Make sure you have your water handy, your number 4 brush and number 2 brush, or just whatever your favorite brush is. And we're going to get started. The first thing we're going to make is a dragonfly. So let's think about the different parts of an insect. So insects have 3 body parts. They have a head. So let's go ahead and make a head. And heads are generally a little bit roundish. Maybe they're a little bit of an oval. They have a head. They have a thorax, which isn't very big, but that's where all of their limbs are located. So their wings and their feet are all located on their thorax. And then they have their abdomen, and their abdomen is generally a little bit softer and longer than the rest of their body. So we're just making the 3 parts of the insect. Just like so. Now we are making a dragonfly, and dragonflies have 4 wings. So pick a color that you would like your dragonfly wings to be. I'm going to pick blue. And we're going to let our brush do the work for the wings. So they start off small, make sure it's right at the thorax. And they get big, and they get small again. And we're going to do that one more time on this side. So it starts out just at the tip, you bring it out wide, and you bring it back. And you can reshape however you'd like, just like that. Let's do the other side. So you're going to need, start small, press it down, go wide, and bring it back. Now if you don't have enough paint on there, you can always go back through and do the wet on wet technique. Alright, let's do that one more time. And we are going to start out small, press wide, and back in, just like that. There's our dragonfly. Now if you wanted to give it a little bit more depth, you can take a little bit more of your base color for your body and just make it a little bit darker on the edges. That'll give it a sense of being a little bit rounded. And a little bit bigger, and later on once it's dry we can add a little bit more details to it. But for the abdomen you can go ahead and add detail right now with the same color. They usually have these segmented pieces to their abdomen, so it kind of looks like stripes are going across the abdomen, just like that. Alright, let's move on to a bumblebee. This time we are going to use our yellow, and we're going to color a whole thing yellow. So like a yellow oval. You can make it long and skinny if you want. You can make it big and fat like a bumblebee. I'm going to make mine a little bit fatter like a bumblebee. So I have one small end, that's where the head is. The thorax you're not going to be able to see at the moment, and then the abdomen is the big giant part that's usually pretty stripy. So let's see, the thorax is generally black. So while my yellow is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and take some black and just spread it across, because he's a fuzzy bumblebee. So there's his little thorax, and then we can make our stripes for the rest of our bumblebee. and we'll have to wait until he dries in order to do anything else. So let's go on to a ladybug. So for the ladybug, I want you to start with red, and we're going to outline where we want our spots to be and our wings. So we're going to start with the wings first. We're going to make a half moon. So half moon or half a circle, and within that half moon I want you to make some circles in there, just like so, and then I want you to color in everything but the circles. We'll come back to filling those circles in. Just like so. And they don't have to be perfectly round. Let's go back through and do the other wing. So remember, we're making a half circle or a half moon, however you want to call it. You want them to be about similar in size, and go ahead and make your dots in the middle there, and we will fill it in. Now we're going to take some black or another color. If you want to have your ladybug be different colors, you can. We're going to make a half moon for the head. And on the ladybug, you really don't see the abdomen and the thorax a whole lot. You just see the head and you see the coverings of the wings, the hard shell on the wings. So there's our little ladybug head. And then you can, if your back is dry, you can put in the spots for the shells on the top. Just like so. And before we add eyes, we'll have to wait for that to dry. My bumblebee turned out really dark, didn't it? That's okay. We'll wait for it to dry just a little bit. We can also go back and take off some of the black by drying our brush and bringing our dry brush across some of the yellow area, just to bring out a little bit more yellow. There we go. All right, let's make another kind of beetle. Let's make a blue beetle. So I'm going to start with the thorax first. So he's going to have this rectangle, rounded rectangle shaped thorax. And then I'm going to give them nice, beautiful, long wings on the back. Now beetles generally have a hard outer shell that cover up their wings. So and they usually go right down to the edge here. And you can just make that line down the middle more definite. Just like that. Now we're going to give it a darker blue head. And generally they have just a little bit of a head. Most of it's folded under their body. Now we're going to give them little legs. Now remember, all the legs are on thorax. So let me get a smaller brush here. I'm going to use the same blue, dark blue paint. And I usually have 2 going forward, 1 going the other direction. Just like so. Now we need some antennas. Just like that. And you can go through and make some shadow work. Maybe they have some lines on their shell. Just like that. Alright, let's see. Is our dragonfly is dry? We're going to put some eyes on our dragonfly. So I'm just going to take some black and make big giant eyes, because dragonflies have really big rounded eyes. Just like that. And then you can make some lines on their wings, because dragonflies have a lot of veins and things that keep their wings really hard so that they can fly. And that's just typically, they almost look like little squares. They don't have to be little squares on yours. See, our ladybug is still pretty wet, but I think I might go back through and make it just a tad redder, which means I'm just going to go over the red one more time. Let's head back to our bumblebee. It looks mostly dry now. We're going to put some wings on. There we go, some little blue wings. And an eye. We're just going to put a little black dot right up there. And he needs a little stinger. And then if you really want, if you have some white, you can put a little dot of, that's too much of a dot, huh? A little dot of white on the eyes. It just gives it a little bit of a shine. You could do the same with the ladybug here, but he's still wet. Well, those are just a couple of the bugs that you can make. I would love to see all the bugs that you can come up with to do with your watercolors. So go ahead and email me down there at that email address, and I'll see you again next month.